Hello, this is Barry O'Connell, and this is my second Sunday in September week in review for Maryland politics. The big story this week was the Gonzalez poll. Um, Patrick Gonzalez did a great job. It's a solid poll. It's up over 800 people surveyed, and that means that the margin of error is down around 3.5%. The lower the margin of error, the more solid it is. A lot of times we see surveys coming out with a 6, 7, or 8% margin of error. They aren't as good. I mean, they're just not as accurate. When you get a large body of people and you survey them like Patrick did, we're getting solid results. So this was the big story this week. Gonzalez put out part one first. And he stretched it out for the week, which meant he dominated the news cycle in Maryland politics this week. But it's good numbers for Democrats. Vice President Harris is polling at 55% of the vote in Maryland. Former President Trump is down at 37%. This is about where we expected it to be. I think Harris could pick up another 5 to 7 points between now and Election Day. I think Trump might drop down to the 33, 34%. But, even 37%, that's a reasonable number for a Republican in a highly divisive year. Maryland is uh, we've got roughly twice as many Democrats more than twice as many Democrats as there are Republicans. And even when you throw in the independents, they don't come equal to the Democrats. So this is exactly where we'd expect it to be. Harris over 50, Trump in the 30s. The good news this week, and this is big news, Angela's up by 5 points over Larry Hogan. She had a killer of a primary. That was a rough race. David Trone threw $62 million at her, outspent her fantastically. She spent under 10 million. I think it was maybe 7.5. Um, so she got badly outspent, and she fought her way back. One of the things I noticed about Angela, please don't take this as a criticism. Angela can be sensitive, but let's hope she doesn't get mad at me. When she was running as a county executive, she had a tendency to run as a black candidate in the Democratic Party. Okay, which meant that she was more likely to go to a black church and a black meeting and have campaign events that were more heavily black. During the primary, she broke through that and she became a Democratic candidate who happens to be black. And there's a big difference, which means that she can compete on the statewide stage against anybody because now she's running on her own credentials. She's done a good job and it's showing, and she's killing Hogan. So God bless her. This is good news. Angela up by 5. Love to see that. Somebody who did not have a good week this week is Governor Wes Moore. The New York Times dropped a bombshell story on him about the Bronze Star issue. Wes put on his resume when he was applying to be a White House fellow ages ago, half a lifetime ago. He checked with his commanding officer. The medal had been approved all the way up. All the officers signed up. They were just waiting for the paperwork to clear the Pentagon, and then he'd get his Bronze Star, and his commanding officer told him, go ahead, put it on the resume. It'll help. And it did help. He got the White House Fellowship, but he never got the Bronze Star. He should have gotten the Bronze Star. He earned the Bronze Star. He's better qualified and more deserving of that Bronze Star than many people who have gotten Bronze Stars um, in wartime. He was a captain in the 82nd Airborne. He went over there. Now the the star would have been for times when he was a lieutenant, but he was an officer in combat in Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan. I wasn't in combat. I just happened to be working there. Um, that was a rough place for those guys. They fought a tough war, and he did his best. And somewhere his Bronze Star got snagged. Maybe it's sitting in somebody's inbox at the Pentagon. Maybe it's in a file that didn't get looked at when it should have. Maybe it just got overlooked. Maybe somebody decided that, black guys have been getting too many medals. Let's kill the medals for a couple of these black guys. This very easily could have been a racist thing. We don't like to think that the army could be racist, but I'm not saying the army is racist, but it's completely possible that somebody processing Bronze Stars might have decided, let's let this one sit. Whatever it is, he should have had the Bronze Star. He didn't get it, and somebody turned him into the New York Times. Rumor is it was Brooke Learman. I can't swear it was Brooke. It's just one of those things. She so desperately wants to be governor. I mean, going back to college days, she's had a goal to be governor. Frankly, nobody ever woke up, no little girl ever woke up and said, I want to be comptroller of Maryland someday. That doesn't happen. Brooke wants to be governor. She's raising money. She's campaigning from one end of the state to the other. She's trying to get out in front of Angela. Did you notice, like, Angela has events and Brooke shows up and tries to steal the glory for herself? Brooke's running for governor. And she may have been the one who fed the story to the New York Times. The difference is, here's the thing that makes a big difference. To be considered for president or vice president in the future, Wes had to get past, he had to get the Bronze Star story out of the way. It's out, it's open, nobody's calling for his resignation. He dealt with it, it's over. This is a big step for him. So Brooke may have been trying to hurt him. Instead, she ends up helping him. She makes him more electable and more likely to be president of the United States someday because they got the star issue out of the way. So, tough week, but a good week for Governor Wes Moore. Somebody who always has good weeks is Courtney Finkley Green. God bless her. Look, let's start up in the top right corner. Courtney was with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She's the one who lit up Marjorie Taylor Greene in a committee hearing. I can't even quote it. Something about bad built bleach body. I don't know. Somebody will have to figure that one out for me. Whatever she said, it made it across the country 10 times over. Um, and then directly below that, we see Courtney with Don Edwards, head of the AFL-CIO, president of the AFL-CIO for the state of Maryland. Um, then Courtney, Donna Edwards again, and our good-looking and honest Speaker of the Maryland General Assembly, Adrienne Jones, and next to her, a real up-and-coming politician, Jocelyn Pina Melnick. That was before this week. So how do you top that? Well, in the upper left-hand corner, we can see Courtney hanging out with um, Barbara Mikulski. No slight against anybody else, but for a young woman in politics who's moving on up and doing things and making waves and making a real impact on the state of Maryland. Courtney, under the mentorship of Treasurer Derek Davis, took over Maryland 529, cleaned up the financial mess that the whole thing was in. Parents were protesting, and the poor guy who was running it before Courtney would like see the press and run away. It was a nightmare. The House stepped in, well, both houses. The Maryland General Assembly stepped in, handed it over to Derek Davis, and he handed it over to Courtney. And he guided her through. And, she's turned the whole thing around. It's running like a top. And she's got close to $10 billion that she's managing. So how do you top all this? Well, you go and get advice and help and friendship and mentorship from the great woman of Maryland politics. God love her, Barbara Mikulski. I love her hat. Look at that. There's a comma LA. That's the coolest Kamala hat I've ever seen. Barbara Mikulski is truly an incredible person. And if she's helping Courtney out, that's a big win for Courtney. It's probably better than the convention with and the convention was good. So congratulations and good to see you looking so good, Barbara Mikulski. We miss you. We only got 30 years of you as a senator in the U.S. Senate, and we would have happily taken 30 years more. You truly are a legend. And I think that wraps things up. Oh, yeah, thank you and have a great week. Hope you enjoy this. I'm going to try and keep these short and sweet. Hit the high points for the week, and I'll be back again next Sunday.